We can feel really uncomfortable in our own skin and with ourselves when we feel like we don't know ourselves and when we feel like ourself isn't valued. My name is Andres Larios Brown. I use the pronouns they, them, he, him, and ella if we're speaking Spanish, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. Part of this exploration process is really being able to remind ourselves of how brilliant we actually are. And what we see is that when we can recognize how incredible we are as human beings, how our uniquenesses, how our differences actually are things to be celebrated, we can improve our mental health. We can feel more excited about the future. We can feel more hopeful. We can envision possibilities. It can help reduce our anxiety as we really get to know ourselves. That can be such a beautiful way to contribute to our well-being. As human beings, when things are scary, we can often go into fight, flight, or freeze mode, which means that our body can become really activated. Our heart rate can be really quick. Our mind can be racing. It can be really hard for us to breathe. By exploring ourselves and really getting to know ourselves can become less scary to us, which means that some of these things can be soothed and calm. We can breathe easier. We can remind our heart that it's okay, that we're safe. Our mind doesn't have to be searching so much, and that can really help in our well-being. One of the things as a therapist that I want to really offer is ways in which we can take care of ourselves through this process, ways in which we can continue to heal even when we're experiencing harm. Our emotions are really important tools. Emotions are neither good nor bad. They just are. And they're often our heart or our soul's alarm bells letting us know that we need something. Kind of like notifications on our phone when we get a text message or some sort of like on Instagram. Our emotions are similar to that. So being aware of our emotions, checking in with our emotions and saying, emotion, what are you needing right now? Sometimes we can hear self-care talked about as taking a bubble bath, listening to music, and that can be a really meaningful process. It can be really important for us to watch Netflix and eat a slice of cake. And it can also be important for us to take care of ourselves, to eat nourishing food, to drink water and stay hydrated, to breathe, to add movement into our life, to get fresh air, to connect with others. By paying attention to what we need, we can best meet the need and take care of ourselves the best way we need to. So we can know the difference between if we need to curl up with a really, really cozy blanket or if we need to expand with some stretches and some movement. There's something really meaningful and powerful when we take an extra breath that says, I'm worthy of life. I'm worthy of breath. Eating nourishing food, drinking water if we're dehydrated, adding in movement and sometimes taking up physical space can be a really important way that we can communicate not only to ourselves, but to the world that we are worthy of being here. Sometimes it can feel like a really small thing to take an extra glass of water because we're dehydrated. But really what we're doing is we're showing ourselves love. We're celebrating our life. We're acknowledging that we are worthy of nourishment, of health, of well-being, of breath, and sometimes of taking up physical space. So it really is an intrinsic part of exploring and celebrating ourselves, taking care of ourselves. Sometimes there are things going on in our brain, in our life, in our family, that just drinking water isn't going to fix. Sometimes we need extra support. And I want to name explicitly that there's nothing wrong with us. So finding mental health resources when we're in need of extra support can be such an important piece. Therapists come in all different shapes, sizes, styles. Our offices can look different. And so it's important to find a therapist that really fits. And just like trying on different clothes, different fits, trying on different therapists can be such an important piece. Finding a therapist that's qualified, that understands LGBTQIA+ identities and experiences can be essential for us as we're taking care of our needs. Paying attention to different cues on therapists' bios, their websites, in their offices, how they introduce themselves can be a helpful way for us to determine whether or not a therapist understands LGBTQI+ identities or not. I think it's important for therapists to introduce themselves with their pronouns, to share pieces of their training and their understanding. And so, as you're looking for therapists, as you're connecting with therapists, feel free to ask us any and all questions that you have. That's part of our job, to make sure that you feel safe and secure and supported. And there are a number of different resources that can be helpful in us finding a good therapist. I know we here at Encircle are especially focused on helping LGBTQIA+ people, and we find and train our therapists to be able to meet our needs. Though we're not the only ones. There are lots of therapists out there that are excited and trained to help us.